Hello everyone, a very warm remote welcome to everyone tuning in today. My name is Carlotta Merzari, I run Northforma Entertainment, and I'm very sad not to be able to be there today. However, I'm very grateful to the team at CTV Summit to have organized the conference in such a way that allows us to still connect amidst the changes in circumstances. A little more about us. Northforma is a creative studio that leverages the power of data to understand young audiences, specifically young audiences between 12 and 18 years of age. We turn audience insights into creative springboards to then support broadcasters and linear channels to create original programming and content that represents and engages Generation Z for the long term. Our main topic of interest is climate change, which leads me to the topic of today's talk. We'll be looking at the strong impact that online communities are making around the environmental conversations. It'll be a session that will be very useful to you if you're one, looking to target Generation Z with your programming, and two, looking to create programs on climate change, which, if you were not before, given the circumstances, you probably will be thinking of doing now. We are aware that both Generation Z and climate change are very big, broad topics that a lot of people have difficulties sort of wrapping their heads around. There is one very good news, though, which is that besides the general confusion and the overall misconceptions that channels have over Generation Z, broadcasters and linear will be serving a huge role in driving the climate conversation. So hopefully by the end of this session, you'll be having the tools and overall context to be able to do so. Just a little note on today's presentation. Obviously, I am not present at the conference, so this session will take the format of a glorified webinar. One thing will stay the same from last year. We always use the very minimal slides. Our style is going to be very kind of bare and minimal. We found last year that this is very useful to everyone engaging with our content, because we found out that this allows you to extrapolate the concepts and then use them and adapt them to your company values or priorities. So we found that this style serves our audience much better. So having said that, without further ado, I'll be switching the camera off and I'll proceed with the slides. So, Gen Z, who are they? And what should you and your organization know about them? Going back to the basics, Gen Z is the audience segment that was born between 1995 and 2010. They're digital natives, tech-savvy, informed and opinionated, constantly online, and extremely proficient with media. Digital natives is a term that gets thrown around a lot because it's very, very relevant to this generation. It doesn't just determine where they spend their time, it determines the way they create and witness their place in the world. We define Gen Z as the second generation of the bottom-up mentality. The first ones to develop this, you guessed it, were millennials. Bottom-up means that after the internet, social media, and the general digital transformation of our lives, the understanding of one's place in the world shifted. Gone were the days where centralized power, work, and information dictated how we behave. Information was now available by the click of a keyboard. The time it took to receive any media shrank. Anyone who shared an interest, a hobby, or an expertise, or for that matter, anyone who could fulfill a need, was independently highly valued and could amass enormous audiences with huge businesses coming with it. Gen Z inherited this shift and they perfected it. It's no surprise that their highest value is individualism. By being at the center of the digital world, they can have a lot more impact in a lot less time. Gen Z can now curate their experience with more information, lifestyles, education, connectivity than ever before. This means that the way they make their choices revolves entirely around the type of person that they believe themselves to be. Gen Z know who they are and they're not afraid to let everyone else know. With the global knowledge at their fingertips, Gen Z truly create their persona by curating their experiences from the inside out. Living by their highest individual expression makes them prone to prioritize value and purpose to inform their decision making. It's very black and white in Gen Z world. Either something works or it doesn't. There is simply too much offering elsewhere if this media is not speaking to my values. This is a shift that every single media organization has to make, whether TV, social content, radio, or otherwise. If you want to truly engage Gen Z, you have to know what they stand for, and you have to stand for something yourself. But what does it mean when we say that Gen Z curates their experience from the inside out? This is the truly revolutionary trait that makes this generation so exceptional and rich. Gen Z are largely young adults going through a phase in their growth that comes to an end by the age of 25. Their frontal lobe is not fully developed yet. They are day by day becoming the adults of tomorrow by means of expressing themselves in real life and seeing, interacting with the consequences and impact they generate in the world around them. Every one of us went through this, but at this time there is a difference. Besides growth, they have powerful tool sets that allow them to curate and create multiple identities and personalities. And these personalities have access to a largely global audience. The inputs are wide, the outputs are free and diverse. Identity is something you can now create, both online and offline, according to who you most want to be. As an example, you obviously heard about Instagram, but are you familiar with RINSTA, or better still, FINSTA? These are accounts that Gen Z people, as early as they can possibly open an account, create to fulfill specific tasks. RINSTA is the audience amplifier, is where you become a brand and try to reach a much wider audience based on interest or objectives that you have. Finstagram, and this is the irony, is the fake account where you actually post your realest, most honest pictures and moments that you don't want a wider audience to see. It's when shit gets too real, some might say. This curation of the online gives them a creative power, a sense of self-appreciation and acceptance that turns these young users into powerful creators. And the beauty of this is that everyone, as long as they have an internet connection, can do this. Everyone gets a shot to be how they want to be. Gen Z's most noted trait is that they truly have agency over themselves and make choices according to their highest chosen values. Everyone can do this, and there is a wide choice out there. What does this mean for media organizations? You need to start by knowing what purpose you serve. What does your organization stand for? What are your rules? What are your objectives, guidelines? Be loud about it. You as an organization have to battle with the hardest of tasks, which is to deliver quality content to serve audiences at all times. It's a tough task, and you stand against the beast, even just with YouTube. So what we teach is a change in outlook. Audiences have to be understood and engaged with before we create. It's not just smart, it's necessary. Young generations know themselves very well, and they have all the tools to provide to themselves if they're not provided for. The good news is we have the tools too, and they can be used according to our values. Culture is created by a collective of individuals who share fundamental values. The question is, how does a global community create a shared culture that is strong enough to be universally understood, but specific enough to give everyone a voice? It's again deeply rooted in individuality and in the deep belief that everyone has access to the same tools to build oneself online as much as offline. Because the ability to create your own identity comes free of charge and has practical, tangible impact on the real life, quote unquote, then it is understood that for Gen Z, virtually everyone has the fundamental right to do so. It is so that for these new young leaders, the sole idea that a world with inequality and discrimination paints a picture of incremental mistrust for the centralized powers. This is a bit of a combination between the new individual power that is available to everyone and a few bad experiences that social media has exposed, like, for instance, fake news, social privacy scandals, rigged elections, and so on. Gen Z, by mastering their ability on social media and of an on-demand culture, automatically master the notion that everyone is equal and has the right to a voice. This may sound philosophical, but it is enforced by the very down-to-earth fact that Gen Z is indeed the most diverse audience we've seen. If and when values and beliefs are not being listened to or not enough action is taken towards them, Gen Z will self-organize. You've seen this in school protests or in social media fundraising campaigns. We have many examples, you name it. This duality of action allows for any action to have double power, and it's made even more effective by the fact that organization happens faster than ever. This creates a sense of deeply felt shared agency against injustice, fueled by the need to rebel, which is typical of this age. Which brings me to my last point for today, and possibly the most practical set of actions that you as an organization can take to bring yourself closer to your audiences, generally and specifically when addressing climate change. Watch your language, which means tell it like it is. Gen Z is exceptionally good at telling what's right from what's true. They were born with a search engine master's degree. Be authentic, be simple, above all, be useful. They do not want to be told what to believe. They want to have the tools to believe something for themselves. Get to the point, make it easy for them, speak with integrity. Bring value and have purpose. When it comes to climate change, or indeed world equality, worldwide pandemics, or even just plain simple entertainment, you have to serve a purpose. Give Gen Z platforms where they can share their views. You don't have to serve the world every day, but you do have to be valuable for the niche you decide to serve, whatever that niche might be. Use the full vocabulary, which doesn't actually mean words. Here what we mean is use all the digital tools you have available. Don't be scared to leverage social media to test ideas, launch competition, fundraise, generate audiences, encourage conversations, create platforms where meaningful interaction can be had. They do this naturally and they will love you for it. Do not underestimate the power of that. Because what you're looking to do is a tough task. You're asking super wired, intelligent audiences to connect and stay with the content you're making, and more so to continue doing it as they grow into adulthood. It's an enormous task, but it is possible, and the rewards are incremental. You have to make the first move. What we do is that we teach people to understand audiences, which in and of itself is a very tricky concept to deliver. There are many variables in and of itself. We're teaching to understand people, which more often than not is more of an art than a science. That's why there is a massive opportunity to take advantage of the complex, unpredictable, and incredibly organized young generations, to find creative methods to understand their behaviors and turn the insights into practical creative steps towards material that works. The intuition is simple. Know your audience, understand their needs, provide to their needs, grow your relevance. Because that's what matters today above all with this generation. You have to be relevant. You have to provide value to them, because if you don't, they'll find it elsewhere. One last thing, many ask us whether this picture I just painted actually means it's doomsday for linear channels. With 81% of under 16s using BBC daily and 3 in 4 children watching linear every day, I'll let you be the judge of that. The challenge is yours. These are indeed complicated and worrisome times. However, we strongly believe in our studio that this is also a fantastic opportunity for content makers to really make a wave and work closer with your audiences. We believe that the future is co-created, so do not hesitate to get in touch with us if you're looking to include Generation Z knowledge or actual Generation Z voices inside the development of your programs and your content. There'll be contact details down below or on the slide or on your screen, so do not hesitate to get in touch with questions. Let us know what you're working on. Let us know how we can help you. There's a number of different ways in which we work with companies and channels. We've run training sessions. We work helping and supporting the development of creative ideas, and we also have the opportunity to help you pre-launch your ideas on social media, so then you can see the impact of the program that you're making before you actually get to launch it. So do get in touch, do ask us questions. We'll be available all day today and for a while until everything goes back to normal. We're all working from home, so we'll be happy to chat with everyone over the phone. And thank you. I'll see you soon.